There's a quote by Dalai Lama which says, "The purpose of our life is to be happy." Moody says, "Happiness is your true nature." And the title of the latest book by Rupert Spira is "You Are the Happiness You Seek." What does happiness mean to you? And have you figured out the way to get there? For a long time, I believed I shouldn't even want to be happy. My culture, the religion, the family I grew up in glorified suffering. So I learned very early in life that there is something suspicious, something weird, or maybe even creepy about happiness. Part of that was that happiness felt like a luxury. Like, who do you think you are to even want to be happy? You don't deserve it. Another part was that happiness is not safe. Like, when you're happy, you're carefree, and being carefree is not a safe choice, it's not a wise choice if you believe the world is a dangerous place and there is a threat waiting for you around every corner. And yet another part of that was that serious, hardworking, responsible, good people are not happy. They are just too serious. They are just too busy for silly stuff like happiness. So this is what I grew up with. What was it like for you? What happens to mind when you hear these sentences? Happiness is the purpose of life, or your true nature is happiness. What is stirred up inside when you hear that? Let's take a moment to reflect on that, because discovering these often deeply rooted beliefs is always the first step to regaining your freedom. So there might be all these limiting beliefs inside, but yet there is also a longing, right? There is this desire, urge, wanting to be happy, and we all share it. We might call happiness different names. We call it peace, love, joy, but they all refer to the same experience, right? So if you look at small children or at animals, for example, we are all wired for happiness, right? There is this curiosity, innocence, excitement, spontaneity, playfulness, huge capacity for peace, for joy, for happiness, for love. Huge capacity for love, right? And yet, as we grow older, it seems that we have less and less access, and we are less and less in touch with this very natural wiring. And also, it seems that as we grow older, we become more serious, more responsible, more civilized, and we have plenty of more important things to do than just be happy, or even than just be. And also something else happens. We start to associate happiness with certain things, relationships, places, states, or even substances, right? And there is nothing wrong with that. That's just a part of life. And there are like plenty of places, states, people in your life that can bring you a lot of happiness, love, and joy. The problem starts when you start to attach to them, when you start to believe that they are the source of your happiness, and that without them you just cannot be happy. So you start, a natural consequence is that you start to chase and grasp onto these things and onto these people, because they are supposedly necessary for you to be happy. And at the same time, you start to resist and fight all that is supposedly blocking your access to these things or people. And that creates a lot of suffering, right? And I'm sure you know that very well by now. When when I think about the image about this happening, the image that comes to me is like a maze of waiting rooms. And so often we spend majority of our lives inside these waiting rooms. So it seems to us that the life we long to live, the life we truly want to long for, is somewhere behind one door or another. So we keep trying different doors, but each of them is just leading us to another waiting room. When I get a better job, when I earn more money, when I find a relationship, when I leave a relationship, when my partner changes, when my child stops challenging me, when we move to the countryside and buy a bigger house, then I will live full and be happy. But all that you find behind these doors is just another waiting room. And some waiting rooms are camouflaged pretty well, like a new relationship, for example. Yes, sometimes for a while we think, wow, that's it, I found it, this is the happiness I was waiting for. Now everything will be okay, I will be happy kind of ever after. Until one day you just wake up and it turns out that this one thing is still in your heart, that this is still not enough, not what you are really hoping for. Or maybe the person changes and they do not make you happy anymore. Or maybe they leave you and your happiness leaves with them. And then you realize that it was just another waiting room again. And I'm not saying forget all this, go to a cave and meditate. The joy of being in love, the joy of achieving a goal, getting a job you love, yes, earning plenty of money, buying a new house, all this is kind of valid and welcome joy. But if we invest our happiness in any of the above things, if we invest our happiness in anything, a state, a circumstance, another human being, the happiness will be a fleeting and passing experience. And it usually hurts a lot when it ends. And often after years of wandering around these different waiting rooms, the doors we try become more refined, more sophisticated. We change the doors we try to open. So we say, when I change my habits, when I start to take proper care of myself, when I stop procrastinating, when I learn how to meditate, when I heal my childhood trauma, then I will start to live fuller and be happy. Unfortunately, these doors lead to waiting rooms as well. Eckhart Tolle says, don't seek happiness. If you seek it, you won't find it, because seeking is the antithesis of happiness. No matter how refined or sophisticated or even spiritual the places you seek it in. So, as we sit in all these waiting rooms, or maybe kind of pace restlessly around, or quite often we feel really frustrated, anxious, or depressed, or sometimes we are so done that we just lie down on the floor, yes, and give up completely. And it feels like the life you want to live, the life you long for, is happening somewhere outside, out of the maze. So let's start to look at happiness from a totally different perspective. And I want to share with you a beautiful poem by a Polish poet, Leopold Staff, that gives us a sense of this different perspective that we might try. And the poem is called Foundations. I built on the sand and it tumbled down. I built on a rock and it tumbled down. Now when I build, I shall begin with the smoke from the chimney. So that's my invitation for today. Let's start with the smoke in the chimney. And I want to tell you about 3 ways that can bring you closer to happiness, closer that you have ever been before. And the first step always is to become present, here and now. You see, it is your mind that is never satisfied. Actually, the very nature of your mind is this resisting and seeking. Your mind is constantly resisting and trying to avoid or get rid of the things it doesn't like. And at the same time, it's trying to seek and grasp onto things that it does like. It is motivated by 2 things: to avoid pain and to seek pleasure. This is your mind's job, and it does whatever it can to avoid pain, to seek pleasure. So this fighting, this resisting, and also this seeking is just the very nature of your mind. And you don't have to resist or fight your mind as well, yes, because it creates even more suffering. You don't need to kind of fight with it. I promise. It's like with meditation. I hear my clients so often saying like, meditation is not for me. I've tried it. I just can't keep my mind clear. I can't stop thinking. Of course you can't stop thinking, and you don't have to stop thinking. It's not the essence of meditation, and neither is sitting still, by the way. The essence of meditation is not to get your mind to be quiet. The essence is to understand that you are not your mind, because your mind is not the problem here. It is an amazing tool, yes, and you need it to navigate your life. It is your attachment to your mind that is the problem. It is your relying on your mind too much that is the problem. You're believing that your mind is telling you the truth. You're living above your neck, just like this. This is the problem here. You're allowing your mind to be in charge. That is the problem, because your mind will never ever make you happy. It will keep you chasing things and running away from things, and it will keep promising you peace and joy and happiness if only, or only when, or as soon as, but it will never deliver. It is the mind that keeps you in this maze of the waiting rooms. And once you understand this, it becomes a bit more easy to start to break free. And the antidote to all that is presence. Eckhart Tolle says the power of now, yes, but it is all about our ability to be fully present here and now. And that's one of the most transformational and healing things you will ever do for yourself. It's about breaking free from the tyranny of your mind and start being present for what is happening right here in front of your eyes. And there's been also plenty of psychological research, yes, that backs it up, that shows that being more present, being here and now, boosts your emotional and physical health and well-being. So we all know that this is true. Why is it so difficult then to be fully present, to just live here and now? And the first reason, of course, is the power of habit. We were learning for years, training ourselves not to be present, because being present means experiencing our emotions fully. And experiencing our emotions fully is not always the most comfortable thing, right? For a small child, for example, who has not many resources, the only way to protect themselves from overwhelming or too painful emotions is to try not to feel too much, to constrict their body, yes, to tense so that the pain is not so acute, to distract themselves, to even try to disappear, yes, completely zone out. And these are powerful habits deeply rooted in our system, and many of us still are very much alive and present and happen automatically. So you need always a bit of practice, a bit of dedication to break free from these habits. And this is what we do in the inner circle all of the time. This is what we do on our retreats, yes? So if you want to become more present, just check the links in the description and let's do this together. The easiest and the most powerful thing, way to do that, to become more present in here and now, is to reconnect deeply to your physical body. Your body is your anchor in here and now. It is your biggest ally in becoming more present. If you learn how to inhabit your body fully, to kind of consciously live from within your body, love and appreciate your body, a lot of things change, yes? For example, you stop objectifying it so much. You stop neglecting it. You stop burning it out. But first of all, once you inhabit your body, you have an anchor. So the storms that happen in your mind and in your emotions and then create huge waves of overthinking, overanalyzing, catastrophizing, worrying, self-criticizing, self-bullying, all the emotions, all these waves can no longer drag you into an open sea and cast you around as if you were a helpless little boat. You are safely anchored in your body right now, and the waves can pass through you without causing you any harm at all. This is the power of presence. And I also want to read to you what Tara Brach says in a very beautiful way about this blessing and gift of being present here and now. So she calls it a heart that's ready for anything. And so when a strong emotion comes up, instead of doing your normal thing, which is trying to distract yourself, trying to avoid it, trying to, get busy, all the things that you normally do not to feel it, could you just stay? And could you, and then you will find out that it comes and goes, and that there is a presence there. And you start trusting this presence more and more, that it can hold you. And then a trust grows, and a confidence appears that you can handle this life, and that this presence can hold you through whatever might be happening around you or inside of you. And this confidence gives you more happiness than any passing moment of happiness. So this is the first step, and this is where we need to start always, from learning how to be more present in here and now. And I really encourage you to watch part 2 of this video, where I will share with you 2 next steps to reconnect to happiness, which is our true nature.